Welcome once again to this YouTube class. We want to continue from where we stopped the last time. And the last time we started talking about, or we stopped at the animal that is called the annelida. The acronym I gave you are Mike, after annelida, mollusca. Then the next phylum in line is Arthropoda. So that is why I want to look at Arthropoda in today's class. The first thing I want you to note about Arthropoda is the fact that members of this group are, are, are the largest. As a matter of fact, this is the largest phylum in the whole of animal kingdom. Why are they regarded as the largest? Because they contain the largest number of species. We've discovered, or scientists have discovered, more than 800,000 described species in members of this phylum. You can imagine how huge it is. And can I even tell you that there are some other species that are yet to be discovered? So many of them will still be discovered in the future. But what am I saying in essence? That I'm saying that they are the largest phylum, or this phylum is the largest phylum in the whole of animal kingdom. And we want to begin to look at the characteristics of these organisms one after the other. And because what we want to look at when it comes to Arthropoda, because it is large, and also because I don't want this video to be too long, we are going to divide the study of Arthropoda into two. So this first video will be used for listing and talking about the characteristics, the general characteristics of members of this group. And a subsequent video, I will now talk about the classifications into various subphyla and classes. Into various subphyla and classes. Coming to characteristics of this group of organisms, number one is that they are made up of, or they possess chitinous exoskeleton, which is also called a cuticle. The function of this chitinous exoskeleton or cuticle is, of course, to protect the organism. So the primary function of chitinous exoskeleton is protection. But it is also important that it also a kind of imposes a limitation to the growth of this organism. But this limitation is usually overcome. This limitation is usually a kind of conquered when the organism begins to molt. Mm. So the uh, advantage, the disadvantage is that it limits the growth of this organism, but then the organism overcomes this limitation through molting. So for the animal to grow, molting has to occur, and that molting is now the shedding of the exoskeleton. And the time interval between one molt and the other is what we call the instar. So as they molt, then of course they uh, grow from one stage to the other. And you will look at this, or you see this when you begin to look at the concept of metamorphosis in some of the organisms in this phylum. Having said that now, a minute. So having said that now, we'll look at the four different parts of the cuticle. The cuticle in this animal is made up of four different parts. The first one is what we call the dorsal tegument. Then one ventral sternum, then we have two two lateral pleura. So these are the four different dimensions or divisions you see within the cuticle or the exoskeleton of this group of organisms. Then we have the next one is that they have jointed appendages. Yes, this is another peculiar characteristic of this organism, because if you look at them, you see that their appendages are usually jointed together. Then they have body that is metamerically segmented. Yes, the body is segmented, but the segmentation is such a way that the segments are usually repeated or identical, and they're called metameres. Metameres. They have repeated segments that are called the metameres. The metameres. So one segment looks like the other segment. So that is what it means by being metamerically segmented. So they have a unique repeating segment. Mm. Then they have marked cephalization. I've always talked about this cephalization. That cephalization is the a concentration of the sense organs in the definite part of the body that is known as the head. Members of this group have marked cephalization. It just means that they have a well mapped out or marked head. So in that head, there's concentration of their sense organs. So that is what it means by having marked cephalization. And not just that, they are also bilaterally symmetrical. That means that this organism can easily be divided into two equal parts. They are dioecious. When we talked about annelida, we thought we discussed. We discussed that some are hermaphrodite, while some are dioecious. Members of this group are usually dioecious. That means that the sexes are separated. We have a separate male and we have a separate female. Then the body cavity is hemocele. Yes, they have a body cavity. Remember that the organisms we are now studying from Annelida upwards are the coelomates. That means that they have a coelom. And the body cavity of this organism or their own coelom, the body cavity is called the hemocele, the hemocele, the hemocele, the hemocele, the hemocele, the hemocele. That is the name of the body cavity. And of course, within this body cavity, we now have the fluid that runs through it, which is called the hemolymph. The hemolymph. Then they have an open circulatory system. We have two different types of circulatory system. The circulatory system can be open or closed. Any circulatory system that is open means that the, the blood or the fluid is not enshrined, embedded within vessels. So that is open circulatory system. That means that the fluid bats the whole organs without being confined within blood vessels, as you see in vertebrates. So that is another characteristic of this group. They have open circulatory system. Then some members, when it comes to habitats, are terrestrial. I have so many terrestrial examples, and some members are also aquatic. So some can be aquatic, while some are terrestrial. So by the time we look at the classification into different subphylum and classes, we look at some of the examples of the aquatic ones and some of the examples of the terrestrial ones. The mammalian tubules are the excretory organs for land animals. Yes, the land animals use the mammalian tubules as for the function of excretion. Then the aquatic ones, they use several other structures. There's several other structures like the gills, uh, which they use for the purpose of respiration. The gills are used for the purpose of respiration, and the mammalian tubules are used for excretion for those land animals. So, like I said, because this This phylum is so huge. We are going to be talking about the classification into various subphyla and classes in the next video. So there's something I was looking for. The causal or green glands. Eh? The causal of the green glands. The causal of the green gland. Causal. For the land animals use the mammalian tubules for excretion. Then the aquatic ones use the causal glands. The causal glands for excretion. Even though nitrogenous waste can also live through the gills, they can also excrete some of their nitrogenous waste through the gills. That is for aquatic ones. So this is how far we can go for this first part of talking about the characteristics. So in the next class, we'll just look at the classification into subphyla and classes. All right, see you in the next class.